Eddie Muhammad calling back. We'll get back to you on this conversation after. 702 area code, you're on the air.
Eddie Mustfa Muhammad.
Hey, how you doing? You're live on Zutes Talk, Sports Talk, Zutes Boxing Talk.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much, man. I grew up watching boxing, late 70s, early 80s. I've had you on the show already. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, Larry Holmes, Sean O'Grady, believe it or not, Aaron Pryor, and you. You guys were like the guys I love to watch. Beautiful stuff.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, I want to ask you a couple of questions about this of what's going on in boxing now. Obviously, the Floyd Mayweather Jr. Victor Ortiz fight brought a lot of passion. There were opinions on either side. And because of what happened and how the fight ended, I think this point got lost of how heavy Victor Ortiz was going into that fight. And it just got me thinking, why do we do that now, Eddie? Why do guys weigh in the day before the fight as opposed to the old days when they had to weigh in the same day of the fight? I mean, there's been some dangerous situations there. Joey Gamache, I think it was Arturo Gatti he faced, where he almost got seriously injured because his opponent was much bigger and heavier than him because he had the benefit of weighing in the day before the fight. What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? How do you think it should be done, Eddie?
I think that it should be done the old-fashioned way. You weigh in the day of the fight, and you fight like 8 hours later. That's how we did it. I mean, the way they're doing it now, they can cause more harm than anything else, you know, by letting the guy balloon up even 15, 16 pounds heavier than when he first stepped on the scales. And that could be a detriment to both bodies. You know, by going up and down like that, it puts a great strain on your heart, you know, for the guy that's going up, and then for the guy that's, you know, maintaining the weight. I mean, you got a guy that's 15 pounds heavier, 16 pounds heavier. You know, I mean, that's a whole almost 2 weight classes above his natural fighting weight. And that's no good.
Now, why is it done like that?
I guess the people that run boxing, the commissions, the promoters, they just want to see a great fight, you know, two guys at their maximum peak, you know, of strength. And they don't care about their health. They just worried about two guys getting in there at their maximum peak, strong as a bull. But, you know, they got to remember everybody's body is different. You know, everybody's body is different. And Victor, he blew up. He added on a whole lot of weight, but a lot of that weight was probably water weight, and he was waterlogged going in.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like this drives me crazy because they took away the 15-round fights, supposedly because of the fighter's safety. But then they have this, which is very dangerous in a lot of situations, Eddie. Doesn't it seem contradictory to me? And I think it really exposes the fact that they don't give a damn about the health of the fighters. The reason why they got rid of the 15 rounds was because of television time.
Well, they're very hypocritical. Those who are on top of the boxing world, I'm talking about the promoters. You know, those guys are very hypocritical. You know, they think they're helping boxing, but they're not. They're destroying boxing from the inside. You know, not giving the people what they want. You know, you got a guy that has 20 fights, and sometimes not even 20 fights. He's fighting for a world title, you know, without, you know, taking the major steps to learn his craft. And they just want a good-looking guy and, you know, throwing him in, hoping to God he wins the world title so they can cash in. You know, and in my opinion, and I'm going to always stick to my guns, boxing is so very corrupt, very, very corrupt. It's out of whack now. It's out of whack.
Any way that we could fix it, Eddie?
There's a lot of ways you can fix it. There's a ton of ways you can fix it. You know, you got to have the right people. You just don't go in there and have suits that all they want to do, the suits that run boxing, all they want to do is bring their wives or their girlfriends sitting ringside, you know, and don't know a left hook from a fish hook. You know, if I was to somehow be blessed to run boxing, I would clean it out so good. So good. I mean, I'd have the weigh-ins on the same day. You know, I would put it back to 15 rounds because I don't believe in what they're saying. And I would throw out a lot of the corruption that's involved in boxing. There's so much corruption. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, this is why you're one of my. I knew I was smart when I liked you as a kid. You hear what this guy's saying? He's making sense here, and you were a guy that did it. I mean, you fought deep into the '80s. Did you have both? Were you fighting at the time where you got to weigh in the day before the fight, or were you always strictly a guy who had to weigh in the same day?
No, we weighed in the day of the fight, and
throughout your whole career.
Right, my whole career,
okay.
The day of the fight, and that was it.
Because I know they got rid of the 15 rounds around 88, 89 was the last 15-rounder. You have any idea what time they started doing this, weighing in the day before? Because I remember as a kid it was always the day of.
Yeah, I don't have the exact time, but, I mean, it's disgracing boxing. So that's why MMA is doing leaps and bounds over boxing because, you know, boxing is just too corrupt. And I mean corrupt. It's very corrupt to the point as, you know, I mean, the fight with the Cuban kid Islandi and Williams, I mean, this guy wasn't going away. And they give it to Williams. So that goes to show you how corrupt this game is. And it's a sad, sad situation. You know, I love this boxing game. I've been in it for a long time. I'm still involved in it. I love the game. But they just got too many people that are running boxing, the big promoters, that are corrupt. I mean, I'm not just talking about corruption in the United States. I'm talking about all over the world. You know, it's just corrupt. And the guys that run it, like I said, all they want to do is bring their wives or girlfriends to a fight to sit ringside just to be seen, to let everybody know, yeah, I'm running this here. But they're running it the wrong way. I just wish that I would get a call, you know, from the higher-ups in the government to say, let's see how you would run it. And I would show them how to run this game. I would definitely show them how to run this game.
It doesn't seem like it should be that difficult, but I think greed has a lot to do with it, Eddie. You mentioned the Paul Williams bad decision, and we've had a lot of great boxing action, I think, over the past few months, but it's overshadowed by bad scorecards, bad refereeing.
Bad judging.
Terrible judging. I mean, Russell Moore, the referee in the Adbeko fight joke. You know, say what you want about the Mayweather fight. Joe Cortez was totally incompetent in that case, and the judging has been terrible. I can't believe that all the judges had Sergio Martinez running away with it Saturday. I thought that was a very close fight until the stop.
It was a close fight, without a doubt. I mean, it's just so idiotic on how the higher-ups are running the boxing world. You know, then you don't have any insurance for the fighters. You know, you don't have anything, no union for the fighters. I mean, every major sport has a union except fighters. You know, we go out there and put our hearts and our all in all into giving the people what they want, which is a great fight. Then all of a sudden, at the end of the day, when you don't hear the cheers anymore, you know, then you're flat broke. You know, you have nothing to show for it. And what are you going to do? Go out there and try to rob somebody? That's a shame. You know, that's a shame. And the only ones that are getting rich is the promoters. You know, they just get richer and richer while the the fighters who the people pay to see are being taken advantage of.
Yeah, well, what about those fighters? I mean, they walk around with all of these belts and call themselves champions, and for the most part, don't want any part of another guy who has a belt in the same weight class as they do. That just didn't happen as much back in the day. Granted, there were less belts, but when you were a light heavyweight champion, you didn't want anybody else calling themselves light heavyweight champion. You wanted to get in the ring and settle the score to see who the real champion is. How come we rarely see that today?
Because now this is where the promoters come in at. They're protecting those guys. They'd rather feed their guys a variety of bums. And I hate to call another fighter a bum, and I should rephrase that. Lesser caliber fighters. And they would do that, give them plenty of, feast on plenty of guys of lower caliber, just to fatten their coffers and everything else. But the fights that we want to see is unification fights, whereas the promoters won't give us that. And then you have, in one division, you got 4 or 5 champions. It's crazy. It's real crazy. And the United States can be a great deal of help by stepping to the plate and, number one, recognizing a real legitimate boxing organization and throw the rest of those guys out of the window because it is so crazy. Or if they don't want to recognize one organization, start their own organization. That's what they should do.
And what about the two biggest fighters in the sport right now? I get tired of hearing the praises for Mayweather and Pacquiao. While they're probably warranted, shouldn't they be getting a little bit more criticism for not having this fight done already? You're talking about the biggest fight that can be made, a fight where it would give a boost to the sport. A lot of people think will make a ton of money, would put boxing on the stage, but yet we don't even know. They're talking about now Timothy Bradley moving over to Top Rank, being in line for Pacquiao next. To me, it's just disgusting, and I blame both equally. What are your thoughts?
This is my thought. Now, we know that, and I'm not saying that Manny Pacquiao is a steroid user. I'm not saying that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is a steroid user. But this is a fight that everybody wants to see. This is perhaps the biggest fight of all times. Right, so what they should do is come together. Okay, Floyd wants mandatory drug testing. I don't see nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. He should have that done. I don't see why Manny wouldn't take a test like that. There's so much money involved as far as what they would gross. They would be getting paid for the rest of their lives on a fight like that. I don't see why Manny Pacquiao wouldn't take a drug test. If he did my situation, don't you realize why you wouldn't take a drug test unless you're hiding something?
I mean, that should be mandatory for any fight, really. But, I guess in a way I kind of blame Pacquiao a little bit more because he seems like he wants to be the guy who shrugs his shoulders and say, I do what my promoter. He hides behind Arum and then allows Arum to control him, where I think Mayweather has a little bit more control in what he wants to do. So maybe I do blame Pacquiao a little bit more. But this fight should have been done a long time ago, no?
But Floyd wants to fight Pacquiao. I talked to Floyd on numerous occasions, and he wants to fight Pacquiao. And he tells everybody over and over again, listen, all he has to do is take the test. And you got to realize one thing. You got to remember, Pacquiao is if I'm not mistaken, he's a councilman.
He's some kind of politician in the Philippines. I'm not exactly sure what.
Okay, but we got a problem here. If my councilman don't want to take a blood test, what does that tell you?
Well, do you think it's Arum? Do you think maybe Arum doesn't want to see Pacquiao fight Floyd? They have bad blood. Maybe he doesn't want to see
No.
Floyd benefit in any way from this fight?
No. Floyd, let me tell you something. Floyd is going to benefit anyway because he has other options, just like Pacquiao has other options. I mean, there's Amir Khan. He's stepping to the forefront. So, I mean, there's options out there for both of these guys, but there's more options for Floyd. And we got to remember one thing. Say what you want to say about Floyd Mayweather. 42 have tried and 42 have failed. So there's no blueprint on beating Floyd. You know, Manny, he's been beaten, if I'm not mistaken, 3 times already.
Yeah, I mean, his only loss since he's been on the spotlight has been to Morales. Lost a couple of fights when nobody knew who he was. It sounds to me like you think that the only thing preventing this fight is Manny's agreeing to the test.
That's it. Floyd agreed to the test. Floyd would take the test.
Oh, man, well, Pacquiao has a fight to worry about now. We'll see. I'm not so sure he's getting past Marquez that easily. And then we'll go from there. He put Floyd on the spot by saying, I'll take any test you want. Hasn't said that yet. Eddie, we have the Mad Boxing Genius on now. He has a couple of questions for you. Go ahead, Mad Boxing Genius.
Hey, Eddie, how you doing? This is the Mad Boxing Genius. Spoke earlier.
What's up, Genius?
Not much. How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah, let's keep with the Pacquiao Mayweather theme. Do you think this fight will go down in your heart of hearts?
I think it will. Listen, I think this fight will go down, but it's still a touchy situation. And again, it's not on Floyd's part. Floyd told me time and time again, I will take any test they want me to take. You know, Pacquiao is the one that don't want to take the test.
Mm-hmm. So if this fight does go down, do you think it's because Floyd relinquishes his position or Pacquiao relinquishes his?
Well, Pacquiao would have to relinquish his because, listen, Floyd is giving the people what they want. You know, he'll take the test. You know, he's giving them what they want. He wants to fight, he'll take the test, and let's get it on.
Mm-hmm. Floyd Mayweather right now, he's kind of become a part-time fighter. We've seen this with Oscar De La Hoya. We've seen it with Lennox Lewis, and this is kind of the point of the time where they start to think, okay, well, maybe I want to start doing something else with my life. Manny Pacquiao, to me, it's also very obvious that his mind is not completely on the sport of boxing anymore as well, with his congressman duties and the other things that he's involved with. To me, a super fight would consist of 2 men who are physically in their prime, but mentally also have the hunger and the desire to continue to do what they do, to continue to win, to build their legacy. If this fight goes down now, based on those criteria, would you still consider it a super fight? I mean, to me, it seems like both guys don't really their whole hearts are not quite in boxing anymore. It's starting to spread a little thin. Would you still consider it a super fight?
I believe this will be a super fight. And when this fight is made, for the simple reason, you have 2 people that's saying they're the best fighter in the world today, right? I mean, a lot of people say Manny's the best pound for pound. They say Floyd's the best pound for pound. All right, so that's a fight that has all the intangibles, and that's a fight that definitely has to be made before these guys close their careers out. And I think that there's going to be they're going to be guaranteed an astronomical amount of money that, I think Manny may probably bend and say, okay, well, I'll take the test.
Let's go back a little bit about earlier in the conversation you were having with Zoo. You were talking about some of the problems that boxing has. Now, obviously, boxing has changed quite a bit over time. But if things change, theoretically, things can change back. Do you see things getting better with boxing, or do you think this is something that's this is like a new normal for boxing?
Boxing is not getting any better. It's still corrupt. To this day, as we talk right now, it's still corrupt. They're still doing what they want to do. You know, I remember when Levander Johnson, when he got killed in the ring, you know, the Nevada State Athletic Commission was saying they were going to get a special team together to investigate. I'm still waiting on that special team.
Right.
I'm still waiting
Right.
the findings of what's coming on. You know, I never forget things like that. You know, I just sit back and laugh because when they come out with something like that, I know that's full of BS. You know, I mean, those guys are happy in their position as far as their job criteria, and they just let it roll on, just let it flow. Whatever happens, happens. You know, we'll deal with it until it blows over, and then when it blows over, we'll sweep it under the rug and keep on moving.
So what do you think it will take, though, for, I mean, even in just terms of the weighing in and all that stuff, I mean, what do you think it will take for the powers that be to get together and say, okay, look, something's got to change?
The powers to be are not going to get together because they're making a ton of money. They don't want to rock that boat, so it'll never change unless, you know, you bring in qualified people, not Joe the cab driver, you know, a guy that's a doctor, or a guy that's a lawyer. No, you got to bring in qualified people, boxing people that's been in the boxing game. That you got to be like Elliot Ness and have the untouchables. You can't corrupt or bribe them. You know, like I said, the fight with Israel Landry and Williams. I mean, this guy went about 8 rounds, and they gave Williams a fight. I mean, I thought my TV was messed up. You know, but it's crazy. The things you got to have is upright people. The government has got to step in and say enough is enough with these sanctioning bodies and everything else. That's the bottom line. They don't have the cojones to step in and put an end to all the BS. You know, all the BS. That's all it is. You know, the people that run boxing, they're making a mockery out of what I call it's a business. It's no longer a sport. It's a business.
Now, before I turn it back over to my partner in crime, Zoot, I just want to get your opinion on one thing. I can only assume that you heard about that medical report that was made public about doctors saying that teenagers shouldn't be boxing, you know, amateur-wise. That it could be very detrimental to their development. So I think it was like anyone under 18 shouldn't be boxing. Can I get, and that it was unsafe and whatnot. Can I get your opinions on that?
Oh, I'm not in the medical field, but I started boxing when I was around 12 years old. And if I'm not mistaken, during this conversation, did you ever hear me slur?
No.
Okay.
No, definitely.
Okay, and you won't ever hear me slur because I'm careful about what I'm saying. You know, so it's not all about that. They're just going on the safety issues, but they're missing the whole big picture, the corruption that's involved in boxing. Whereas at the end of the day, great world champions are winding up filing for bankruptcy, where there's no union, there's no health benefits for none of these guys. You know, when I tried to do something with the Joint Association of Boxers, oh man, these guys were ready to lynch me, but I told them to come on with it. Come on with it. Because these guys, they want to keep boxing the way it is. Back in the 1920s when Blinky Palermo and Frankie Carbo were running the show. They want to keep it like that. But now the names has changed, but the game is still the same. Corruption, or the capital C.
Well, you know what, Eddie? It was always Always a pleasure talking to you. I'm going to hand it over to my partner in crime, Zoot. But you know what? It's always a great conversation with you.
Hey, I like to keep it real.
All right, thanks, Mad Boxing Genius, Eddie. Just a couple of more things before we let you go. I want your opinion on one of the boxing real clashes I felt was Georgie Benton as a trainer and as a boxer. I didn't see much of him as a boxer, but in the films I have watched, just a beautiful defensive guy, beautiful boxer to watch. Any thoughts on him? I mean, did you know him? Were you close to him at all?
I knew Georgie very well. We were always close. We would always talk, me and him, on boxing strategies. I mean, Georgie was a delightful person. He was his nickname was the Professor because he was so knowledgeable in the game of boxing. You know, we have all these few people that had that knowledge, like Georgie, Eddie Futz, Chicky Ferrara, Angelo Dundee. I mean, these guys are walking encyclopedias of what we do, and it's tragic that we lose these guys. But you know, their legacy as far as what they've done in the ring and out of the ring will go on forever.
And what about for you as a guy who was a champion, great fighter in your own right, now very good trainer? What's going on for you with the training?
Well, I'm in the gym. I have a gentleman from Sweden. He's now 11-0. He's fighting on the 21st of this month in Foxwoods, Bad Dude Jack, and he's doing pretty good. And I have a few other guys that are in the gym. We're working on a few things. I mean, I just keep it moving. I'm in the gym from 9 in the morning. Sometimes I don't leave until 7. But it's pretty good, pretty busy, and that's how I like my time, to be busy.
Now, are you working with Hasim Rahman still?
Yes, I am. I'm Hasim's trainer. He's the #1 contender for the WBA. They made some kind of champion, what do you call that? Champion in recess or champion emerges. I mean, some kind of Greek stuff. You know, it's funny. I laughed my head off. You know, but this is boxing. You know, you have the Klitschko brothers, who I think are the cream of the crop because they take it serious. So we're going to fight Alexander Povetkin. I don't know what date it is. We don't have a date yet, but the WBA just issued a letter. It probably went out today that they don't want him to fight Holyfield. You know, it's a laughing stock of the world for him to fight a man that's almost 50 years old.
Yeah, now a lot of people, I got to be honest, when you hear about Hasim Rahman, a lot of people aren't taking him seriously. He's been very busy, but not really out there. I don't think have seen him lately. Why should we take him serious, especially at the age of 38?
Okay, why you should take him serious? And a lot of people don't know this because he's been under the radar. Since I've been with Hasim, we had 6 fights. We scored 6 knockouts. And what we did, when we started climbing up in the ratings, I said, we have to do one thing. We have to show the people that we mean business as far as your weight. So what he did, we sent him down to Duke University for 1 whole month. He just got back yesterday. And he lost 25 pounds. I can't tell you how we did it, but everything is legal the way he's done it, but he lost 25 pounds. And we don't even have a contract or a date for the actual fight. So he's taking this serious, and you'll see by the time he steps on a scale, you'll see a drastic change in the weight reduction that he's done.
Now, what weight, if you can, what weight do you want him to be at for that fight?
Around 235, 240 tops.
All right. Well, I mean, I think that if he's in shape and he has the right trainer, and he does, that he could beat just about anybody except the same old story in boxing. Who's going to give the Klitschko's a challenge?
It's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard because number one, they're so tall, they're so athletically inclined, and another situation is they do the right thing. This is their job. They love their job, and they're very good at their job, and they're very very good at what they do. They take this very seriously.
I mean, I think he'll be fine unless he gets a fight against anybody else. I give him, even Steven at least, I give him a good chance to beat Povetkin if he's in shape.
I think he's going to knock Povetkin out. I'm not just saying this because I work with him. I'm saying this because I see him every day, and I've seen the drastic change. That month took him away from his family into Duke University, and he's got himself on the right track as far as he done lost 25 pounds already. And we haven't even started training for the fight yet.
Yeah, now, I mean, before I let you go, I mean, you fought everybody: Eugene Hart, Benny Briscoe, Michael Spinks, everybody. What was there one fight that you knew going into it, like this is the best, everything was clicking and you just couldn't wait for it to go? I mean, did you have that one fight where beforehand you knew this is my night? Did that happen a lot? Did it happen more at a higher peak than any other fight? You know what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. When I fought Marvin Johnson for the title, even when I fought Victor Galindez for the title, I thought I beat Victor fair and square, but we fought him in Italy, and that's his next to his home in Argentina. So at that time I wasn't too aware of the powers to be in boxing. I was a young kid coming up, and I beat Victor fair and square. And the people that called the fight was Gil Clancy and Tim Ryan, and they even said I won the fight. But hey, listen, we're in a foreign neighborhood, and they said I lost by 1 point. So I just let that go. But then I fought Marvin Johnson, and like I said, I got myself in terrific shape. I knew I was going to win. I did nothing that Marvin could have done that night to beat me because it was on my A game, and I just let it flow.
Man, it was a great performance. I have that Galindez fight as part of my boxing collection. I thought you won by at least 2 points, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And it was a rough one. Yeah, I mean, but you were the guy, man. You went overseas. You fought everybody. There was nobody that you ducked. Was there anybody that you were fighting at that time that you wanted to meet up with, but it just didn't happen, and you wish it did? Because you fought everybody, but
no, you're right. I always wanted to fight John Conte.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He was a classic guy. I liked the way he dressed. I liked the way he presented himself. He was a classic guy. But, he was a good boxer. He had a little bit of a crack, but I knew I could punch harder than he could. I had a better defense. And, if I hit you with any hand, I could hurt you. I always wanted to fight him, not because I didn't like him, because he was competition. He fought Saad Muhammad twice. I beat Saad early in his career, so I wasn't, listen, I beat just about all those guys they put out there. You got Saad Muhammad, and I'm not jealous of him. He's in the Hall of Fame. God bless him. And everybody asks me, well, when are they going to put you in the Hall of Fame? That's even a corrupt situation. You know what I'm saying? So listen, I always tell everybody when they ask me the question, why aren't you in the Hall of Fame? I am in the Hall of Fame with my kids, and that's more important than the garbage that they're putting out there now. So I'm good with that. Very good.
Yeah, I mean, that was the last point I wanted to make. I saw this Hall of Fame ballot. I think it was Dan Rayfield. He tweeted it on Twitter. And you're not on there. You're not in the Hall of Fame. Some of the names on that list is a joke compared to you. It's a disgrace.
Well, the Hall of Fame is a joke. It's like I said before, this whole boxing, it's no longer a sport. It's a corrupt way of making a living. And that's exactly what it is. If I don't ever get into the Hall of Fame, I'm not going to lose any sleep. I have a great relationship with my family, my kids.
Now, if they did, I'll get you. If you happen to get in, Eddie, would you show up?
I know I would show up out of the respect that they finally said, well, you deserve it. I mean, you got to show up. I don't want to turn my back on a sport that I love. Remember, I'm trying to clean it up.
And I hope you do. Now, the fight with Conti, did that ever come close to happening back in the day?
No, never came close.
No. You guys just didn't hook up at the right time. That would have been a good one. And he was also on the famous Band on the Run album cover. I'm not sure how many people know that. Yeah, the Paul McCartney Band on the Run. John Conti was on the cover of that album.
He had a lot of class. I liked him. He had a lot of class. I just wanted to match skills with him. That's all. It wasn't nothing derogative about him. He was a good person, and I never met him.
Wow.
I fought his. This guy said he was his brother, Dave Conti. So he said it was John. He said John was my brother. I said, well, I'm gonna give you something to give to John. Tell John. After I knocked Dave out in the 8th round. I said, well, take that to John. Tell him this is what's waiting for him over here. And we never got together.
That fight happened in 1979.
Yeah.
And you fought about 6 times that year. These guys are a joke today, huh? 6 times, and you were at the peak level right at that time.
Please. Again, boxing is so corrupt. So corrupt. It's just crazy, man. It's just crazy.
Well, thank you for your time, Eddie. Love to see you get some kind of progress here with what has to be done. You're a smart guy. You know what it's going to take. I'm going to open the Mad Boxing Geniuses mic so you could say goodbye, too. Thank you for your time, Eddie. Can't wait to have you on again.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Go ahead, Mad Boxing Genius.
Yeah, like I said, always a pleasure talking to you. Your fighting career is a little bit before my time, but I definitely know you as a trainer. Always love hearing the old school stuff and how it was back in the day. So, thanks for being on. Pleasure to talk to you. Looking forward to it again.
Man, you got it, baby.
All right, thank you. Eddie, Mustfa, Muhammad, one of the best. I mean, when I was a kid, loved them. Salvador.